Hi everybody, welcome to Missy's Imaginings. I hope you had an awesome Christmas. Mine was a lot of fun. My girls spoil me. And one of the things they spoiled me with this year was the new Doctor Who doll. And she is just gorgeous. She has, now I haven't taken off her shoes, so I don't know about her ankles. But without her ankles, it's 15 points of articulation. And so if her ankles actually bend as well, it'll be 17. So yeah, and her clothes are pretty cute. So yeah, and she does have a sonic screwdriver, but it's over there somewhere. I think I put it in my jewelry box so I wouldn't lose it. But she's so cute. Very, very cute. So they saw her at a doll show, but at the time they couldn't get it there because they couldn't sneak it past me. So, and then I kept this part of her box. The one that they found had a big crack in the front of the clear. Oh, I've got a cat playing with me. It had a crack in the front of the box, so I didn't keep the whole box, but I kept the panel part that had her picture and the back of the box with information about it and the certificate of authenticity, and then of course her stand and everything. So yeah, so she usually sits over there by my bed, but anyway. And then another friend, she said, now you do doll stuff, right? And I said, yes. And she said, well, I have some things for you. So I'll show off those things. This is from Linda. And it started off with this pretty little table, which is really cute. And I have a little Wild Imagination by Tonner, Wild Imagination Sad Sally. So she's real tiny, so it'll go with some of these things. So there's that table. And then this really cute little set. There's the little vanity desk and the little stool. And then the vanity desk is so cute because all the drawers actually open. Get my hand out of the way like this, and the mirror pops up. So how cute is that? Isn't that cute? So cute. So there's that piece, which is so adorable. And then my fave is the old treadle sewing machine. It is so cute. I just love it. So yeah, so she gave me those pieces that'll be really fun for a little Sad Sally. So she'll have lots of fun things to work with. Then I thought I would let you all know, we did make it all the way through all 12 gifts of Christmas. It's a variety of things, so I thought I'd let you know what there was. So if you haven't been to the website, or you had busy holidays, you just didn't have time to come to YouTube or time to go to the website, I thought I'd let you know what's there. So if you want to avail yourself of any of the gifts so that you wouldn't miss any, I'll let you know what they were. So number one is pleated pants for the MiroDoll 66 centimeter male. The second one is a pleated shirt for the MiroDoll 66 centimeter male. The third one is a Rudolph coloring set that you can color, cut out, and put together. So it's a little late for this year, but you can have it for next year. Then number 4 was a jointed BJD paper doll. And also I did a video showing how to assemble that. So it is an actual paper doll, but you put her together with brads so that she is articulated and she can move. And then her clothing is also made to be articulated. So the clothing you can actually put together with brads as well. And it'll have tabs, so it'll go on. It's a very real working paper doll. But if you just like to collect paper dolls, you can do that too. So that's... and her name is, let's see, Ella Flex, I believe, because she can move. Then number 5, back again to the MiroDoll 66 centimeter male. It's a mock turtleneck shirt to go under the previous shirt and to go with the pleated pants that will complete that outfit. And as you can tell, I really like that new guy, and I thought he needed lots of clothes. Then number 6 was a basic pattern set for the Tonner Antoinette. Number 7 was a basic set for the Tonner Tyler, just basic body style. Those two, the basic sets, remember, are so that you can use them to draft your own patterns. If you try to sew them, you're just going to get a really tight bodysuit, which is okay if you want that protective undergarment to go underneath clothing. You can make it of a stretch fabric and leave it open in the back so that you can slide it on and off like a bodysuit. But if you want, they're designed so that you can make your own patterns from those. Then we'll turn the page and go to number 8, because you can tell I can't remember all these, so I write them down. Number 8 was a coloring put together Santa to go with Rudolph. So you color, cut out, and put him together. Use him to decorate for the holidays. And then, let's see, number 9 was an outfit for the ball jointed doll paper doll set. So she, up to this time, has had 2 outfits. One is a fairy outfit, and then one is another little outfit with knickers. So it's not like underwear knickers, not like British like that, but the ones that go below your knee button. Anyway, so there's another outfit for her. Number 10 was a 3rd scale or SD scale female hooded cloak style coat. And so it's like a coat that's like real drapey, and it has a hood. Number 11 is a 1/3 tall male BJD skinny jeans. So they were drafted for the 66 centimeter MiroDoll, but if you have another slim tall male, they would probably work. Just check your measurements, probably around the waist, around the bum, and around a thigh, and around a calf, to make sure that those measurements would work and would fit your doll. So you can make some skinny jeans. And then last but not least was a long cloak style coat for the Tonner Wild Imagination Evangeline. However, that did not have a hood. I don't think it had a hood. No, it has like a ruffled collar, and then it has kind of a ruffled, it's not like gathered ruffles, but it will kind of ruffle around the edges, a little capelet that can be added to go underneath the collar and attach at the front. So that was number 12. So that gets you through all the 12 gifts of Christmas. So they're all posted on the website. They're absolutely free. All you have to do is go to the website, which will be linked below, and go to, if you want to see what the pattern pieces look like, go to the free stuff page, scroll down, and you can look through the patterns. Then when you decide which ones you would like, you just go to the ready to print page, and they're all listed. They're PDF files. You click on them, it'll open, you can print it, you can save it, whatever you want to do. So those are all ready. They're all available for you. Also, I want to let you know that in the near future, I am going to be doing a little bit of revamping on the website, so that I think, I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm going to add a page, so that one page will be mostly for paper dolls and things you can color, and the other ones will be sewing patterns. So it will be faster to find the PDF that you want. And then I will be kind of scaling down and combining some of the images, just so that you don't have to scroll down so far to find something that you want. So I'll probably, instead of having just one photo all the way down the page, it might be 2, maybe 3 across, and it'll just take up less space that way, so you can scroll a little bit faster, and then you can just, zoom in if you want to see it better. But I thought it might make it a little bit easier to see everything without taking so long to get to the bottom. So that's all the news, all the updates, and everything that's going on there. And then today, what I want to do is to sew the pleated shirt that we made for the 66 centimeter male doll. And so this is what the pattern, if you have downloaded it, you will recognize it because it looks weird. But this is a pleated shirt, so it has pleats, and it has 2 bands that kind of crisscross. There's pleats above this band and pleats below it, and then just an open neck that just kind of is like a pullover shirt. And this is designed to go over the mock turtleneck shirt and go with the pleated pants. So this is the shirt that we're going to put together. I have cut it from a kind of a peachy. My light is disappearing here, so I don't know if this will help or not, but we'll try it. There we go. So I've cut it out of a creamy colored raw silk. So I have some actual silk that I'm going to be putting it together. Then the mock turtleneck is cut from a textured striped white linen. So that's what the mock turtleneck turtleneck shirt will be. And then the brown pleated pants are of a brown fabric that has some nice pleating to it. Hopefully I can, there, you maybe can see the color there, but it's just like a chocolate brown, milk chocolate brown, and it'll be those pleated pants, and it does drape really nice, so hopefully they'll hang the way I want them to. So anyhow, we'll go ahead and I wanted to get the intro filmed while I still had some light. I got up early today. It was so nice. Like, yay! So I'll go ahead and move up the camera, and we'll go ahead and start sewing and put together that pleated shirt. So thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and we'll go ahead and start sewing. To start, we'll take a look at our pattern pieces. So these pieces, as I mentioned, have been cut out of a peachy colored silk. It's kind of a raw silk, and I love working with it. If you can afford some silk, I recommend that you try it. It will ravel, but it doesn't ravel like you would expect. And I had one shirt I had to put together with black, and the collar just didn't want to fit, and I had to take it out like 3 times, and it just stayed together. The fabric just worked. I took it in and out, black thread on black fabric. It was hard to see, but that fabric held up like I could not believe. So well worth what you pay for real silk if you can afford it. That is definitely why it costs so much. It's just an organic fabric that doesn't fray like a lot of your polyesters. If you tried to do that, take a little bitty collar out 3 or 4 times, it would just disintegrate. So if you can do it, it's fun to work with. It's just, it holds together. You can make a mistake, take the threads out and try again, and it doesn't fray nearly like you'd think it would. So anyhow, so these are my sleeves. I'm using the longer option of the shorter option. I had to look at my pattern pieces and see what I had. So the shorter sleeve option, there are 2 pieces of front banding. There's a short one here, and it's indicated on the pattern piece. One end is for the shoulder and one is for the shirt edge, and then the same on the longer band, so both of those pieces. Then there's a back facing and a front facing, and of course the back of the shirt. Then, and I've pressed all my pieces because they've been folded for a while, so I had to press them. Then we get into our weird pieces. Now this one, I went ahead and wanted to experiment last night, and then I thought, oh, I was going to film this. So I didn't go any further, but I pressed in my pleats and pinned them just so that you'll be able to kind of see. What I'm going to do is press the pleats in place, and then I'm going to baste along the edges where the pleats will meet, just so that it kind of gets that portion done. And then I'm dealing with this as a piece of fabric, and I don't have to worry about whether or not my pleats are going to come out. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. On the wrong side, you can go ahead and trace the lines with some fabric marking paper and a wheel or a pencil. I like to just literally use the iron and press the outside, then fold it in place, and then press it, fold the outside, and fold it in place and press it. Just because that doesn't leave any marks on my fabric that I need to worry as to whether or not those are going to show through. So I have this piece already pressed and pinned, so it's ready to be basted. And then of course the big piece, which looks like this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press the outside, and then I'll press it in and pin it, press the outside and inside, so that once I get it all pressed and pinned, it will be the exact shape that I need it to be. The last little note I want to make before we start sewing is on the mock turtleneck, I got it together and I used a very non-stretch fabric like silk, just so I could see how it would fit. And the shirt, although it fit really well, because it doesn't stretch, I couldn't get it over the doll's shoulders. So I'm a little nervous about that, given that the neckline, we'll pull our pieces back here into camera, the neck opening is only going to be this big, And then the width of the shirt will only be this wide. I'm nervous that I won't be able to get this on the doll. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the center back and finish that edge, just so that I won't waste all this time in silk and then not be able to get it on the doll. If you're using a fabric with some stretch, I don't think you'll have a problem, but this isn't going to stretch. And so as I got to looking at the size of my guy's shoulders with, you know, the actual arm shoulder, not just the shoulder of the shirt, and the width of the hem, I was a little nervous that that wouldn't fit. So I am going to cut down the center of my fabric, and I will go ahead and finish that and then just have it fasten in the back with some snaps, because I don't want to waste all this fabric that I've cut. Then once the pieces are going to be assembled, I just thought it'd be fun to lay these out. Even though I don't have this one, I still need to press. Your pieces are going to, let's see here, get our pieces together. This will be sewn on here, and it's going to overlap like this with the band, and then this part will have the pleats in it as well. So I think it's going to be fun to put together. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other large piece all ironed and pressed and basted along those edges, and then I'll come back to the camera. Now then, I have the pieces all pleated and pinned. I haven't basted them yet, but I'm going to remove the pattern so you can see how this shape and this shape become the ones we're going to work with. So this is pleated and turns into this. That looks more like a pattern piece that you would recognize, as it's got the underarm and the side and the hem with the pleats in place. So this band is going to be sewn onto this edge. And if it doesn't fit perfectly, that's okay, because I wanted to make sure it was big enough to actually fit. And I did a lot of prep work on the patterns and some like thin cotton fabrics to do my pleating. But I'm very happy with how close that comes once this is actually pleated and folded to matching this. And of course, any extra can be in the seam allowance. That'll be fine. Then this piece turns into this one, which you saw before, which will be sewn here. And then once those pieces are sewn together and these are sewn together, then this will be sewn here. So that will create the front of the shirt. So it looks like these pleats are carrying on down into this part of the shirt, but they're actually only on that separate piece. So that's what the shirt will look like when we actually get it put together. So I'm going to baste the pleats into place just so that they don't move anymore, just by sewing around the edge. I'll trim off just to make it more of a straight edge of my piece, and I will verify, I'll reach my arm around here in front, that the sides match, and if they don't match, then I can always trim the hemline. So I'm going to leave the hemline as optional and even everything out there rather than trying to change my armhole place. So I'm going to match that up, and then I'll just leave the edge there. And then let's see, yeah, so I'll get those pieces sewn together. So once these are basted, then this is going to be sewn here first to give me those pieces. This will be sewn here. Then this will be applied to this piece, matching the underarms. And then that will produce the neckline for that V facing. So that'll have the V neckline there. So that's what we're going to do next, is baste and attach those two. Baste, attach this, then put this new piece, this new assembly, onto this assembly to make the front of the shirt, and then I'll come back to the camera. Now the front is all put together, so it looks like this, which I am very happy about. On the inside, because these are curved right here, this one is shorter, so it didn't affect quite as much. But on this one, when I put that little front piece from the shoulder onto the small pleated piece, I did clip that edge, and I pressed it towards the band. Then when I did the bigger piece, once I got it sewed on, I also clipped that and pressed it towards the band. And I haven't really finished these. I haven't decided if I'm going to serge those or not. At this point, we're still kind of experimenting, so I'm not sure. But then once that's put together and I put the small piece together with the big piece, I'm pressing that up. The reason being, if you press it down, you're going to lose the seam allowance that you need for the facing. So you want to press the band up towards the neckline so that you'll still have the seam allowance from this piece and the seam allowance on the band to fit, pardon my arm, to fit on the facing here for the neckline. So you want to keep as much of that seam allowance showing rather than pressing it down, and then you would lose that, not have anything to sew this to the front with. So then the next step I want to do is I'm going to serge these back pieces, and I will also be cutting the back facing down the center, and I'll serge that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to finish that because I wasn't planning to have those two pieces, but I'm just nervous about not being able to get the shirt on the doll. So I'll cut that as well. Then I will be sewing the facings together at the shoulder, and I'll be sewing the backs to the front at the shoulder. And then the next part will be to go ahead and finish the bottom edge of the sleeves and hem them. So that's going to be my next section of work, and then I'll come back to the camera. As you may have noticed, the lighting kind of changed. My daughter surprised me and took us to see Little Women. So it's really good. We love it. We love some of those classic tales, and we like a lot of Jane Austen. So when I got back, of course, it was dark, so the lighting's a little different. So hopefully you'll still be able to see everything. So I went ahead, I have this put together at the shoulders, and then I put the facing together at the shoulders. You can see that I cut this, and I also finished with serging what would be the center back all the way around the facing and up the center back again. My corner was a little wonky, but I think it'll be okay. I may trim some of the thread and use a little fray check there. I have the sleeves hemmed, and so those are ready to go. So the next step I'm going to do is to actually put the facing onto the shirt. So with right sides together, I will lay the facing down. Oh, quick note, I almost forgot. Now let's turn it over. And I did decide what I was going to finish on the inside. So here's going to be what I'll show you and what my logic is. So on the long seam where the pleating connects to the band, I serged that edge, and on the long other side of the band, I serged that edge. I did not serge the short band connected to the short pleating. Here's the reason why. When I get that facing turned, sewn on and turned so that it's inside the shirt, here we go, I'll just lay it on top because this is how it'll be. It'll of course be sewn. Then I am going to tack this facing down at places where I know it won't show on the front. So all of these seams will be hidden. Well, I guess it's just one. This seam will be hidden underneath the facing, as well as the shoulder seams will be hidden under the facing. And only this amount of sewn seams will show inside the finished garment. And so that's why I only serged those two edges, because those are the only two that are going to show once I get the facing in and tacked down, so that it's, you know, held in place. So anyway, that's what I decided to do as far as finishing the inside of the shirt. So the shoulders I did not serge, and this one seam that will be completely hidden by the facing, I didn't finish that one. So okay, we'll turn it back around here again so you can see. So here we'll start over here with right sides together. We'll pin that in place, and I'm going to sew up the back, center back where the facing is, and then I will go all the way around the neck and then back down the other facing. So when I'm a little nervous, I hope it fits all right. He's pretty skinny, so I think it's going to work. because my fabric was already cut and I wasn't planning on that overlap back closure, I'm going to leave this seam a little less than 1/4 inch because I want to keep as much of the back as possible. But then once I flip that right side out, this edge is naturally going to fold under a little bit, and so I'll probably sew that down just because I know it's going to flip and be a little wonky if I don't. And but I want a minimal amount of folding because I still need to be able to overlap that enough to put my snaps on in the back. But by overlapping here just enough for snaps, I think it's still going to be fine as far as fitting on the doll. And since it's not a pullover, I'm not going to have to worry about getting it over his head. So I'm going to put the neck line in, the neck facing, turn that right side out and press it, and then it'll be a matter of putting in the sleeves. So to put in the sleeves, I'm going to baste around the top edge so that I can add a little bit of gather for ease stitching. Now here again, I don't want puckers. I just want to be able to ease that curve because you're going to do right side of the sleeve edge to the right side of the shirt. And as you can see, well, maybe you can't see with this lighting. Let's see. Oh, here, I have some green. Let's put some green here. There we go. And put it on the dark part of my sewing here. So as you can now see with the green edge of the paper, there we go. This curve comes this way. This curve of a sleeve goes that way, and so they don't match. Of course, when they're together, they do, but when you go to sew them, they don't. So by ease stitching in this, and then ease stitching around the edge of the sleeve, I'm also going to snip 1/4 inch intervals to the stay stitching around the armholes, and then that will allow the sleeve opening, instead of being a curve, to flatten out a little bit better, which makes it easier to go through the sewing machine. And by basting in this, it kind of helps that curve. Also, when I pin, I'm going to pin the outside edge on this side and the outside edge on this side, and then work my way from the outsides up to the shoulder when I pin. And I have just found that that just gives me a lot easier time of fitting the sleeves in. And then if there is any gathering, that ends up being right up at the top of the shoulder rather than wanting to pleat down here under the arm. So I try to ease that in, and the ease stitching will help a great deal with avoiding puckers. And then I run it through the machine with the sleeve on the bottom side and the shirt on the top side, just so that I can ensure it's easier to avoid puckers on the sleeve than it is on the outside of the shirt, just because when you straighten that out, you've got all this fabric that sometimes wants to bunch up and pleat, like right there. So I like to hold the shirt on the top so I can actually see what my needle is doing on this side of the fabric. I find it a little bit easier that way. And then if I see, oh no, it looks like that's going to be a pucker, I can adjust it as I sew. Also, sometimes moving your pins a little bit out of the way can help. So sew as you get to a pin and pull that out. So I hope that makes sense. That's what we're going to do next. And I will come back to the camera and I should have everything put together. The shirt now has the facing put in, and the back, center back closing or sides or edges, I guess I should say, are finished, and the sleeves are put in. And with that, there was a tiny little bit of puckering, but no pleats, so I was happy with getting the sleeves in. And we'll go ahead and flip it to the inside. I went ahead and finished the edges with some serging around the sleeve edges and pressed that seam allowance toward the sleeve. That's just my choice, how I kind of always do it, because it kind of takes bulk away from the shoulder. So I'm not going to tack down the facing until the shirt is actually put together on the sides, which will be my next order of business, is to put the shirt with right sides together as if it were completed all the way. Here we go. And I will start at the sleeve hems, and I will pin the sleeve underneath the sleeve to the underarm and then down to the hemline on both sides. So I'll pin that and sew that, which will sew the sleeve shut, and well, not the end of the sleeve, but you know, the edge of the sleeve. It'll sew that and the side of the shirt. Then once that's done, all I need to do is hem the shirt and do the handwork of tacking in the facing and putting in the snaps. When I finished the back, let's see if it'll show, see if I can come close enough where you can see. So I went ahead and when I added the facing, that made the nice seam right here when I sewed the facing in. So when I flipped it right side out, this edge of that center back automatically flipped over because it's the seam allowance from inside now going that direction. So I just stitched it down, so that'll hold it in place. So now when the back closes, then there'll be nice finished edge on the back here. Doing a lot of flipping with my fabric, sorry about that. There we go. And I think it will still be fine as far as fitting the doll, because it was very minimal, and I kind of remember when I designed the shirt, I want it to have a little bit of extra room for blousing kind of. So this will just make it a little bit slimmer shirt, and it was easy enough just to finish that, turn it over, and then I have a nice finished back when I add those snaps. So I think it'll be fine. I'll get that put together, get the sleeves sewn and the sides, and let's see if we can just lay it out here and you'll see kind of what it'll look like. There we go. Of course I keep unconnecting those. There we go. So this is what the shirt is going to look like when it's finished. Turn the hem. And yeah, and that'll be worn over the mock turtleneck white that I have. Oh, sorry, moving the camera. So I'll go ahead and finish up this shirt and do the handwork, and then we'll see how that looks on the doll with the new pants and the white mock turtleneck underneath it. See you in a little bit. So here is the shirt on the 66 centimeter body, and sadly it is a little small. It's very snug, and I like the way it's sewed together. It pretty much looks like what I had in mind, but it is very small on him, and sadly the back did end up being too small. So if I wanted this to close, I'm going to have to use a hook and eye rather than snaps to get that to close. So I think what I might do is actually use this for more like a Bobobie Apollo size doll, because this guy is very tall and he's 66 centimeters with the body, so the head he's probably, you know, close to 70, where my Bobobie Apollo finished is more like 58. So it would probably fit him. He's a lot smaller, and then I could go ahead and do the whole outfit, I'm sure, because the pants ended up being very, very snug as well. So let's go over here so we can see the pleating in the front. So this is how the pants look. Here we go. And then in the back, so they go up and around him, but I did have to use the hook and eye closure on the pants as well to make sure that they would close. It all ended up being pretty small for this guy. So there's a helpful hint when you're drafting. Give yourself a lot of extra space. Don't get too close to those lines, because a tight bodysuit is what you would end up with. But I do like it. I like how it went together. I like the colors. Here's with the mock turtleneck underneath, and the mock turtleneck, let's see if we can, I don't think I can do it with one hand, but it fit really well. It was fine. Just taking away the pullover aspect and go ahead and finishing that with snaps. So the undershirt fits fine. The pants were a little snug there. Again, you can fix that simply by making these pleats in the front. There's this pleat and then this pleat, making them a little smaller and closer together, and then the pants pattern will still work fine. You can see its length comes down. There we go. down a good length, so with shoes it would still look nice. So that's the entire outfit and how the shirt turned out. I'm just a little sad that I made it a little small, so before you sew it, you might want to give yourself some more room on the side seams and the shoulder, just to make it a little taller. And then, of course, in the back, if you plan on having a back opening, add some beyond the center back for overlap and also for your seam allowance. So there we go, because on these I had neither. I just cut that piece. But I know had I not split the back, that never would have been able to go on him at all. So that's what the shirt looks like, the entire outfit together. And here's more in depth. You like his big hair. So there's the entire outfit together, what it looks like. And I still like the look of it. It just looks too small for him. But I do like the way everything turned out as far as how it went together. So there you go. So you can feel free to make it for that smaller size fella, or go ahead and do some enlargements a little bit, and you can still use it for this tall guy. I would definitely add the back extra overlap and seam allowance. And I would also probably, next time I make this, make the sleeves wider so that there's just more room in the sleeves. They're kind of narrow, and so I would make that wider, which would also give more room in the shoulder. So overall, I like the shirt. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit and probably try it again, because I do have a little more fabric. And then this one I would just go ahead and keep as fitting the smaller guy. There we go. It's kind of, sorry there, it's kind of puckered there. But yeah, so I like how the pleating worked. I like how everything fit together. And like I say, this is the Bobobie Apollo body. The pants are a little long, but everything else would fit this body okay. So as is, the pattern is on the website ready to go, and this is what it looks like when it's finished. So as always, happy sewing, and I'll see you next time.